So I'm Dr. Karen Wimbush. I'm the horse program coordinator. We've got another faculty member as well, Dr. Sarah Matsteller. And so as you think about the programs, and I don't know how much you know about ATI, but we have two different types of programs at ATI. One we call an Associate of Science program, and one we call an Associate of Applied Science program. And almost in every major field, we offer both options. So, you know, in horse, we offer both options. If you were interested in livestock, we would have both options. If you were interested in horticulture, we would have both options. But if you follow along, the Associate of Science degree is kind of designed as a 2+2 program. So students earn their associate's degree here at ATI, but then they go on usually for a bachelor's degree. So they do 2 years at ATI and then another 2 years or so in the Columbus campus. So their ultimate goal is to get a bachelor's degree. So with the classes in that curriculum, there are more general education classes because we have to fulfill Columbus's requirement of general eds. So the general eds are like English, math, biology, chemistry, you know, speech, economics, those type of courses. The good thing about starting at ATI is that any GPA that you earn at ATI and then go to Columbus, that GPA goes with you, so that's a plus. And pretty much the curriculum is designed as a course-by-course equivalent, so you're not gonna wind up taking a course at ATI only to find out that it counts as an elective. On the flip side of that, we also have an Associate of Applied Science, and we call it Horse Production and Management. And that's what most of our students are interested in, if they're interested like yourself in owning your own place, whether it's, you know, a lesson barn, whether it's a boarding barn, whether it's a breeding facility. That curriculum's got some business classes built into it as well. And even though it does have some general education classes, it's much more strongly technology course oriented. So, you know, you're going to have classes in there like tractors class. You're going to have to do an internship. So it's definitely, you know, maybe a little bit more hands-on when you're looking at it compared to the Associate of Science degree. Okay. Well, this next slide, I just want to kind of walk you through. I'm down here with the stallion in front of the sign. That's me, but you probably recognize that because we're on Zoom. Our horse herd manager, Aspen Adams, and she worked in the standardbred industry for a while before she came to ATI. So, you know, the staff and faculty you're going to be working with have a lot of experience. This is Dr. Sarah Matsteller, and she is an equine nutritionalist. So she and I are the folks, the faculty members that teach the majority of your horse classes. This is actually one of our alumni that works for Kalmbach. So she's actually a marketing manager, and she's actually opened up the Canadian market to Kalmbach. So she's one of our former alumni. And then over here is Mitch Gissinger, and he's also an ATI alum, but he's our assistant horse herd manager. And before that, he was working for equine vet clinic, not as a vet, but as a veterinarian technician, and he traveled all over the United States. Unfortunately, because COVID, I usually take people out for tours of the equine center, but yeah, until we, you know, we kind of get things loosened up. But we've got a 45 stall barn, and it's kind of divided into two wings. There's a breeding wing and then a riding horse wing or a lesson horse wing. We've got a large outdoor arena. I think it's like 120 by 240. We've got an indoor arena that's like 100 by 200. We've got a 55-foot round pen. So that's kind of what you see when you drive into the equine center, okay? And like I said, we're very hands-on learning. So all your horse classes are gonna have hands-on labs, and they're gonna vary quite a bit. We really work a lot with industry. So this is a picture of some of our standardbred yearlings that students prepped, and they're at the sale, marketing these horses at a bloodstock sale. This picture down here is one of my breeding classes, and students are doing all of the washing, tail wrapping, artificial insemination, semen collection. So they get a lot of practice doing that. This other picture is a facility management class. So, you know, they actually had a lesson or two, class or two in fence building, because that's part of it, you know, how to maintain your facility.
Yeah.
We teach English and Western riding, but we also started a driving program as well. So that's part of our horsemanship curriculum. These are students in Introduction to Horse Science, and they were learning bones like that by drawing on this poor horse. Of course, it was washable, so you know it was okay. He washed off, and we didn't see him. Like I said, in breeding, students get quite a lot of experience handling the stallions and semen collecting and breeding mares and foaling out mares. I think we foaled out close to 40 mares this season. Unfortunately, our students didn't get to come back after spring break because of the pandemic. So they missed they missed quite a few of them this year, which was kind of unusual. I even teach hoof trimming in my horse health class. So students get under horses and get their some experience, trimming. So I think when you look at it all, students get a lot of experience, but it also gives them a little bit more insight into maybe the areas that they really like. We've had graduates that have gone on to dentistry school and have become equine dentists. We've had graduates that have gone on to farrier school and have become farriers. We've got graduates that, work for feed companies like Buckeye and Kalmbach. We've got, graduates that have opened their own barns successfully, and run lesson programs and things like that. So, horsemanship is a real big part of our program. So everybody has to take a horsemanship class. Usually it's their fall semester, the first fall semester. But students can either ride hunt seat, and we do jump right from the beginning, or they can ride Western, or they can drive. And so those are kind of the 3 sections of horsemanship that we have. Unfortunately, this fall, we're trying to maintain the 6-foot social distancing. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to offer my driving this fall because we sit next to each other on the cart seat, and that would not be, 6 foot. Yeah. This picture over here is actually our breaking and training class. So these were all unbroke 2-year-olds, and this was a really good class. They got their horses so quiet and so nice and so wonderful. You can see that they actually could stand up on them. So these were an exceptional group of 2-year-olds sired by our quarter horse stallion. And we really stress good horsemanship because that's always what our employers want. Whether you go to a breeding farm, whether you go out, to teach riding, if you don't understand horses and how they think, you're doing an uphill, climb. But our students get so much time around horses that, if they don't understand horses, it's not for our lack of opportunity. Okay. I always say that, I'm kind of like an interpreter. The real teachers are our horses, and, I'm always in awe of them and what they can do, and how they can teach people, especially if people pay attention to them and understand them. So to me, the horses that we have, and we have 50 or so horses, really are your future teachers. So we have a lot of foals. So this is one of our foals from, I think, last year. This is our quarter horse stallion. He's playing with his beach ball, I suppose. But kind of a fun picture. We have a lot of thoroughbred brood mares and quarter horse brood mares. So we also have about 80 acres of pasture. So at any one point in time, our horses can't all come up into the barn because we generally have more horses than we have stall space. Okay. These are some more of our horses. Charlie Barley is one of our stallions that we stand. This was actually one of the horses in the stand-up picture. This horse, we sold him to a gentleman who really did quite a lot of trick training with him, and he sold for $30,000. So we're kind of proud of. Nice. Yeah, he was a really cool horse. His name was Logger, American Blonde Logger was his name. So we try to give students experiences with some pretty top quality horses. Another thing that we like to do from a hands-on standpoint are field trips. And of course, the pandemic is going to put a little bit of a nix on this, but hopefully only this year. But, we go to places like Keeneland. This is Keeneland Racetrack. I took my advanced breeding class there. I usually go there every year. This was at the Keeneland Sales Pavilion. And so we actually had a great talk with the director of sales, and got to sit up in the fancy chairs, you know, where the horses sell for $1 million or $2.
Yeah.
Buckeye Nutrition. This was our nutrition class going to Buckeye. We tend to go to Three Chimneys and Northfield Park. So here's one of my former students, and she graduated. In fact, before she even graduated, Daniel, she already had a job at Emerald Highland Standardbred Farm, and she got hired in as a manager. But this is the famous thoroughbred gun runner, if you are into thoroughbred racing at all. So he stands at Three Chimneys. I like to take students to Northfield Park, give them a little taste of the different kinds of jobs that are on the backside of a track. Everything from, you know, the paddock manager to, you know, the drivers, to the trainers, to the grooms. This is at Kesmark, which is a rehabilitation center for horses down in Kentucky in Versailles. This was at Rood and Riddle. So we actually have a lot of students that have a pretty strong health interest, and they get hired at equine specialty clinics to be assistants and technicians. And you know, that's a good thing because they get hired in the capacity of a certified vet tech, even though they're not, but they have to be able to handle horses. So any kind of equine vet, you know, needs to have their assistant or their technician be able to keep them safe. And so we have a fair number of students that work for vet techs. We have a great connection with industry. So these are some of our students that got actually a pretty good part-time gig during some of the blooded sales. So after they marketed ours, they got hired in. This was LMN Standardbreds. It's Mitch Nolt's place, Mitch and Laura Nolt's. So they hired some of our students to do their sales prep and actually go to Harrisburg with them and stuff for the week to market their Standardbreds. This is our vet, Dr. Gabe Middleton. So whenever he's there, he loves to share his knowledge and teach our students that are in the barn, you know, whatever he's doing, whether it's a ultrasound, whether it's, you know, open up a cast licks or doing a dental, you know, float or anything. But, you know, Dr. Gabe is awesome. And we've got a lot of students that have been graduates that have been really successful, Daniel. But again, you got to put forth that effort. So yeah. One of our graduates, she did her internship. This is Marcella. She did her internship in South Dakota and got hooked up with some vets that run Performance Equine Vet Services down in Aiken, South Carolina. And so she got hired right after graduation to manage their recipient broodmare herd. And this is one of 6 facilities that does a technique called intracytoplasmic sperm injection. So she's done just incredible. So she went from our place to theirs, and she's involved in the ICSI program, embryo transfer. She manages all the you know, recipient broodmares. And her first year out, she looked for an intern, and this was a student that did her internship at the same facility just last year. And now this person is at managing, she's a manager at Walker Standardbreds out in Illinois. This young did the CHEMI program, the Kentucky Equine Management Internship Program. So she needed an internship before she graduated from ATI, and she went down to Kentucky for 6 months. And the Kentucky Equine Management Internship Program is an international program. They take about 25 students from all over the world. So our 2-year students compete with bachelor students and even master students to get into the CHEMI program. And I'm glad to say that every ATI student that has applied to the CHEMI program, except for one, has gotten into it. And that's because of that hands-on component. So strong in our classes. Because,
right.
Yeah, if you started at a 4-year school, you wouldn't get the hands-on at all until at least your junior or senior year. This young man, Taylor Weiss, he's assistant manager at Hickory Lane, which is one of the bigger standardbred breeding farms in Ohio. And this is actually Brad Wallace, who was one of ATI's program's very first classes, graduating classes. So Brad's now getting ready to retire and hopefully turn over the management position to Taylor. So that's just a few of our success stories. I think salaries are going to depend a lot on your experience and where you go. So, you know, obviously, if you're going to stay real close to home, you may not have as many job opportunities as somebody that ventures out, you know, into a location maybe that has a stronger horse industry. So I think you're going to see salaries anywhere from, you know, like 25,000 on up to about $50,000 starting. And it also depends on, you know, what avenue you go into, because the horse industry is very diverse. And so one thing I always like to throw in there are kind of some added things. We do have a club called the Collegiate Horsemen's Association. Some years they're pretty active, other years they're not, but you know, some of the activities that they've sponsored have been fun things like paint night, and social things, but they've also done some, you know, some vaulting clinics. They go on some, you know, extracurricular field trips. I'm trying to think, they've had sponsored trail rides. So they do a lot of things. We're blessed to have a scholarship endowment fund. So we generally give away about $40,000 a year in scholarship monies to our students. And that's kind of, you know, I try to give a little bit more money to the second year students because they've already proven that this is what they want to do. And sometimes, you know, first year students come in and they think it's what they want to do, and they find out that maybe it's not what they want to do. And that's okay. You know, I mean, everybody changes their minds, but I really try to help the second year students. We do have student horse boarding. We don't charge any lab fees. So, you know, your tuition covers the curriculum. We have a lot of employment opportunities at ATI as well, but we also try to get students, you know, we give them some contacts and things like that. And if they're good students, most good horse jobs are filled by word of mouth. And so, you know, we get employers calling us going, hey, I need somebody, I need them in 2 weeks. And, you know, they don't want to, you know, they don't want to sort through the resumes. They want us basically to go, this is a great student, hire them. And we try to do that for them because, you know, we know who's got that good work ethic and who doesn't because of the practicums. And we also have undergraduate research opportunities. So we've had some students that are interested in vet school and things like that. And that looks great on their resumes if, you know, they've presented somewhere, you know, like the Equine Science Society meetings or something like that, if they've already, you know, done some research presentations. And so that's just a little bit of information.